Hello, English learners. Welcome back to another lesson with us at English Pod. My name is Marco.
And I'm Erica.
And today we don't feel very good.
That's right. Actually, in this lesson, we're talking about a hangover.
A hangover. Wow, that's an interesting word. What does that mean?
Well, when you drink beer or wine or vodka, and you drink too much of it, the next morning you have a hangover.
Okay, so a lot of our listeners have probably experienced a hangover before.
It's very likely.
But the problem is when you have to go to work the next day.
Yes. And you might need to actually miss work, but you need some good words and phrases to describe how bad you feel.
Okay, so let's listen to this dialogue for the first time. We have a guy describing his hangover and why he missed work that day.
Are you okay, man? You don't look very well.
I feel terrible. I went out last night with Trevor and things got a little out of hand.
Nice. So where did you guys go?
We hit up a couple of local bars and met up with some friends. Everything was cool until Mike came along, and it turned out that it was his birthday yesterday.
Oh no. Mike's birthday is a drink fest for sure.
Tell me about it. We drank everything in the bar.
Is that why you missed work today?
Yeah, I woke up this morning feeling really nauseous. I threw up like 5 times.
Ew.
I was so dehydrated that I drank a gallon of water and my head has been pounding all day. I swear, I am never going to drink again.
Too bad, man. Tonight is Tracy's going away party and she asked if you were going to go.
Oh yeah? I'm there.
All right. So he's never drinking again, but then at the next chance for a party, he's already ready to go.
I think that's the typical lie of every person that drinks. They say, I'll never drink again, but a week later or a month later, they are again.
Or a day later.
All right, so we saw some great vocab here, so let's look at it now in language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
I'm going to look at 5 words here. Now, the first one, they talked about how Mike's birthday is a drink fest.
A drink fest.
It's a drink fest.
All right, so we have this word drink fest. Now, what is this fest part?
Well, maybe you recognize the word Oktoberfest.
Okay, or festival.
So fest is like a party. There's lots of food. There's lots of drink. A drink fest is an event where there's a lot of drinks.
So can I have different types of fests?
Yeah, this is a really informal sort of slang way of saying there's lots of something. So I could say, oh my God, it's a puppy fest.
So there are a lot of puppies. Or I can say like a fest.
Okay, so you're eating a lot of fast food.
There's a lot of fast food.
Yep.
All right, so fest. Interesting. Now, when he was describing his hangover, he said that he felt really nauseous.
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 Now, I always have a hard time spelling this word. So Nauseous. Nauseous.
Nauseous. It kind of seems like you should say nauseous.
Right.
But you say nauseous.
Yeah. Okay. So when you're feeling nauseous, what do you feel like?
So you feel dizzy. You don't feel very well.
Your stomach hurts.
Yeah. And your head is kind of spinning.
Okay. And you feel like you might throw up.
Right. Exactly. Now, this word that you just mentioned, throw up, is actually our next word. And, well, we're not going to describe it. Why don't we just listen to a person throwing up?
Oh, Marco, that was horrible.
Well, that's the only way we could actually explain throw up. It's kind of a hard word to explain, but I'm sure everyone understands now what it means, right?
Okay, the word is to throw up.
To throw up.
To throw up. Our next word. Now, our guy who's hungover, he said, I was so dehydrated.
Dehydrated.
To be dehydrated.
So this is an adjective, and it means that I have no water in my body.
Exactly.
Okay, so I am dehydrated. I need water.
Yeah, common feeling after drinking too much beer, huh?
Exactly.
Now, our final word, he said he had a headache, and he said, my head's been pounding all day.
Okay, so his head has been pounding all day.
Now, this verb, pounding, it sounds like this.
All right, so a clear example of what your head feels like when you have this very bad headache.
You can also say, I have a pounding headache.
I have a pounding headache, exactly.
Or my head is pounding.
All right, so 5 great words that we just looked at right now. So why don't we listen to our dialogue a second time? Let's slow it down just a little bit, and then we'll come back and take a look at some phrases.
Are you okay, man? You don't look very well.
I feel terrible. I went out last night with Trevor and things got a little out of hand.
Nice. So where did you guys go?
We hit up a couple of local bars and met up with some friends. Everything was cool until Mike came along, and it turned out that it was his birthday yesterday.
Oh no. Mike's birthday is a drink fest for sure.
Tell me about it. We drank everything in the bar.
Is that why you missed work today?
Yeah, I woke up this morning feeling really nauseous. I threw up like 5 times.
Ew.
I was so dehydrated that I drank a gallon of water, and my head has been pounding all day. I swear, I am never going to drink again.
Too bad, man. Tonight is Tracy's going away party, and she asked if you were going to go.
Oh yeah? I'm there.
All right, well, that was a little easier to understand this time. Now, you mentioned that we've got some great phrases, so let's go to them now in Fluency Builder.
Fluency builder.
All right, so as we heard in the dialogue, I think it was a great party, right?
Well, it sounds like it was fantastic.
Well, apparently it was a great party, and he said that he went out with Trevor and things got a little out of hand.
Things got a little out of hand.
Right, so things got a little out of hand.
Now, to get out of hand, what's that mean?
Well, we have some examples, so let's listen to a couple of them before we explain it.
Example 1.
Honey, the kids are getting a little out of hand. Can you do something?
Example 2.
Guys, this argument is getting out of hand. Let's all calm down.
Example 3.
The party last night got out of hand. The neighbors called the police.
So when things get out of hand, you lose control.
Exactly, they get out of control, just a little bit maybe.
Yeah, go a little crazy.
All right, so things got a little out of hand. Now, the opposite of this was everything was cool.
Everything was cool.
So everything was cool.
So basically, everything was okay. Everything was relaxed. Everything was going fine.
Exactly. And then Mike came along, and then things got a little out of hand.
Oh, that Mike.
And now for our last phrase. He was describing that Mike's birthday party was a drink fest, right?
Mm-hmm. And then his friend agreed. He said, "Tell me about it.
Tell me about it.
Tell me about it."
Now, what does this mean exactly when he says, tell me about it?
Basically, it means I completely understand.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I could say, "Oh my God, Marco, it's so hot outside today."
Right. And I would say, oh, I know. Tell me about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I'm saying, yeah, I agree with you. You are right.
Yeah.
Very good. So these phrases, okay, so 3 great phrases that we just looked at. Let's listen to our dialogue for the last time, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more.
Are you okay, man? You don't look very well.
I feel terrible. I went out last night with Trevor and things got a little out of hand.
Nice. So where did you guys go?
We hit up a couple of local bars and met up with some friends. Everything was cool until Mike came along, and it turned out that it was his birthday yesterday.
Oh no. Mike's birthday is a drink fest for sure.
Tell me about it. We drank everything in the bar.
Is that why you missed work today?
Yeah, I woke up this morning feeling really nauseous. I threw up like 5 times.
Ew.
I was so dehydrated that I drank a gallon of water, and my head has been pounding all day. I swear, I am never going to drink again.
Too bad, man. Tonight is Tracy's going away party, and she asked if you were going to go.
Oh yeah? I'm there.
So it sounds like these guys sure like to go out and have a few drinks, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is a very common thing among, well, young people, usually in the United States. You know, after a day at the office or something, they'll go, or even in Europe, they'll go to the pub, right?
Yeah. But the thing is that in America and Canada, we're very careful about alcohol and young people, right?
Yeah, exactly. The legal drinking age in the most part of the United States is 21 years of age.
And really, many parents or families will never let their children drink alcohol until they're 21.
Right. And also the laws that control alcohol. Like, for example, on television, if you notice a TV commercial with a beer or a wine, you will never see the person actually drinking it. It's illegal.
Ah, yeah, that's true.
While in other countries, it's okay. You'll see people drinking it and having fun. In these commercials, they can only maybe put them close to their lips, but not drink it.
Interesting. And another weird thing is that, sometimes you might want to sit in your back garden or out on your and have a beer after work, right? But in places, it's totally illegal to do that. You can't be outside with alcohol.
Right. You can't be seen drinking, or you can't be on the sidewalk or on a bus drinking. Well, in other places, you can, right?
You can just have a beer on the subway.
So it's a little bit different policies on alcohol control. What do you guys think about it? Do you think it's correct, or do you think maybe it's a little bit too exaggerated?
Come to our website, englishpod.com, and tell us about it.
All right. We'll see you guys there. And until next time.
Thanks for downloading, and goodbye.
Second paragraph in the dialogue.
Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive. This time we're getting spooky.
Ooh, sounds fun.
It is. We got a listener request to dig into an episode all about spooky vocabulary for English learners.
Okay.
So get ready to unlock like a vault of, spooky words and phrases. It's like we're going on a ghost hunt, but through language itself.
I love that idea.
Right. And this episode uses some really great vocabulary, so I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, like right away they use this phrase, ultra spooky.
Ultra spooky.
Ultra spooky to describe this, like creepy mansion.
Interesting.
So I'm curious, what do you think pushes something from just plain spooky to like ultra spooky?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think ultra spooky maybe suggests there's something a bit more intense, like almost over the top.
Yeah, it's like taking it to the next level.
Exactly. Like adding that extra layer of exaggeration to really amp up that eerie feeling.
Totally. And they use it alongside another phrase I really liked, scary looking, which I feel like you could use for anything, right? Like a scary looking person, a scary looking house, even a scary looking shadow.
Oh, absolutely. I think we've all had those moments where you just see something and it's like instantly unsettling.
Yes.
Like your gut just says like, ooh, something's not right here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, that phrase scary looking, they use it to describe that same mansion they called ultra spooky.
Oh, interesting.
So clearly this place is meant to really give you the creeps, which, speaking of, they also use the word haunting.
Oh.
To talk about like the ghost that supposedly lives in this mansion. But haunting can be so much more than just literal ghosts, right?
Oh, for sure. I think that's what makes that word so powerful, actually. It's like a lingering presence, something that stays with
Vocabulary
you even
preview?
after, whatever you encountered is gone. It could be like a memory, a feeling, even like an unresolved issue that just keeps coming back to haunt you.
Ooh, that's deep. Have you ever felt haunted by something? Maybe like a regret or a decision you made.
I think we all have those moments, right? What makes something truly haunting, though, I think, is that emotional weight it carries.
Yeah.
It's like a shadow, a constant reminder of something unresolved or unsettling. And sometimes those shadows can make even the bravest of us feel a little, like cowards.
Ooh, good transition. Because that's another word they used in the episode to describe the characters who are too scared to go to the haunted mansion.
It's interesting, though, how coward has such a negative connotation.
Yeah, it's definitely like a judgment, right?
Yeah, implying a lack of courage when, everyone experiences fear differently. It's really not that simple.
Right, and the podcast even uses a more lighthearted word, too. Scaredy cat.
Yeah, that one's definitely more playful.
Yeah, like almost teasing like when you're a kid and your friends dare you to do something scary.
Exactly.
But even though it's meant to be, lighthearted, I wonder if it sometimes minimizes people's real fears,
That's a good point. It's important to remember that even playful language can sometimes be dismissive. We should always be mindful of how our words might impact others, even when we're just talking about something like fear.
Absolutely. Language can be so powerful, even when we're talking about something as seemingly simple as fear.
Right. And it's not just the words themselves, but also like those physical reactions we all experience when fear kicks in. Like the podcast, they talk about getting goosebumps. And one of the characters even says, "It gives me the creeps."
Those phrases are so evocative. They really tap into that visceral response we have to fear.
Yeah.
It's like beyond language almost.
Totally. It's like our primal instincts, taking over. Have you ever noticed how certain sounds like nails on a chalkboard can just instantly give you the creeps?
Oh, yeah. I think it's like that unexpected nature of the sound, the way it just like disrupts our sense of order and familiarity.
Oh.
It's like our brains are wired to be on alert for anything that sounds out of place.
Right, like a potential danger signal. Exactly. And speaking of signals, goosebumps, right? That's another one of those fascinating physical responses to fear.
It is. What do you think? Like, what's the evolutionary purpose of getting goosebumps?
Well, it's believed to be a leftover reflex from, way back when our ancestors were a lot hairier.
Oh, interesting.
And so when they felt threatened, all those little hairs standing on end would make them look bigger.
Oh, to scare off predators?
Exactly. Of course, we've, lost a lot of that hair over time,
Other
but
example.
the reflex is still there.
That's so cool. It's like, even though we're not facing down saber-toothed tigers anymore, our bodies still react as if we are. And it's not just those like primal responses, even our language reflects, those deeper anxieties we have about the unknown. Like this podcast episode even touches on the idea of superstitions, which can vary so much from culture to culture.
It's true. And that's what makes studying them so fascinating, right? It's like a glimpse into a culture's fears and beliefs and values. For example, they talk about how in some Latin American cultures, people tend to be much more open about their beliefs in, ghosts or spirits.
Right. It's like those beliefs are woven into the fabric of daily life.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in other cultures, there might be more like hesitation, even a stigma around talking about those things openly.
That's a really good observation.
Do you think that's just because of like differing views on the supernatural, or is it something more nuanced?
I think it's really a complex mix of things, like cultural norms, religious beliefs, even just personal experiences, Some cultures have such a rich history of folklore and mythology that really embraces the supernatural.
Right.
While others may prioritize, scientific explanations or rational thinking.
Yeah, like those cultural lenses shape how we see and interpret the world around us.
Absolutely. And even within a single culture, you'll find such a wide spectrum of beliefs and attitudes about, the supernatural.
So true. It makes you wonder about all the different ways people, experience and express their fears, doesn't it?
It really does. And I think that's one of the most valuable things we can take away from a deep dive like this. It reminds us that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to fear.
Yeah, it's a whole spectrum.
Yeah.
Right? And language just gives us the tools to like navigate all those complexities.
Yeah.
We've gone from describing things as like ultra spooky and scary looking
Right.
to unpacking what makes something truly haunting. We even like dug into those subtle differences between being a coward and a scaredy cat.
Right, right.
And how even though they're sometimes playful, they can also, kind of reveal those underlying biases about how we view fear and courage.
Totally.
And let's not forget those physical reactions, which remind us that fear is as much a biological response as it is, an emotional one.
Yeah.
I mean, who knew goosebumps were a leftover defense mechanism from our hairier ancestors?
It is pretty wild when you think about it. It really highlights those connections between, like, our minds and bodies and how even those ancient reflexes can still influence us today.
It really is. And speaking of connections, I love how this deep dive has also kind of highlighted that cultural tapestry of fear.
Yeah.
It's so interesting how different societies view and express those anxieties about the unknown.
It's true, from the openness about ghosts and spirits in some cultures to the more, like, hesitant approach in others.
Yeah.
It's clear that our beliefs and traditions play a huge role in shaping how we relate to fear.
Dialogue.
It's like each culture has its own vocabulary for fear, right?
Yeah.
Like its own set of stories and superstitions to help make sense of the world.
Absolutely.
What are some common superstitions in your culture, by the way? Are you superstitious at all?
I wouldn't say I'm particularly superstitious, but I definitely find it all fascinating. It's like this window into like the human need to find patterns and explanations.
Yeah.
Even when we're dealing with the inexplicable.
Right. Like our brains are wired to seek meaning, even if it means creating it out of thin air. So whether it's avoiding black cats or knocking on wood, it's like these little rituals give us a sense of control when the world feels, chaotic.
Exactly. And sometimes those little rituals can be comforting.
Right.
Even if you don't really buy into them, it's like a way of acknowledging our anxieties
Yeah, I get that.
and finding like a symbolic way to deal with them.
I love that. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the language of fear,
Yes.
we'll leave you with this. Embrace those chills and thrills that come with exploring the unknown. Dive into that vocabulary, uncover those cultural nuances, and maybe even share your own spooky stories or superstitions with us.
Ooh, yes, please do. After all, fear, like language, it's a powerful thing. And by understanding it, we can, navigate it more effectively and maybe even find a little wonder in the face of the unknown.
Beautifully said. Until next time, everyone, stay curious and keep those spooky stories coming.